If any of you have ever taken a foreign language before, you're probably well aware that the first thing that you do when you take a language is you first learn the vocabulary. Only at that point can you then carry on conversations with people once you have learned the different terms that you need to know. Same exact thing with math. Math is often called the language of the universe. And it's a language for multiple reasons, but for one, okay, it's got its own notation, right? You see all these different random math symbols. Okay, it has its own letters, so to speak, that we use. We use these notations to represent different things, and then we have to then interpret the information and then draw conclusions based off it, just like you do with any other language. Okay, so with math, because it's a language, we also have different terms that you need to know, and with these terms, you then use them to carry you on, and you can interpret different things, and you can understand what is being said when people talk to you. So here you see at the beginning of this chapter, and as well as the beginning of all the other chapters, that we have terms that we need to know so that we can carry on conversations. So here we have three primary terms that we learn in this lesson that are the foundation for this chapter. But not only for the chapter, it's also going to be foundational for the rest of this class. So make sure you have these down and you know these by heart, because you'll see this again throughout the rest of this year. So the three terms that we are going to talk about primarily are called point, line, and plane. Those are the three primary terms, and then we use these to get all the other terms throughout the rest of this book. These are what we call the undefined terms, meaning there's not really a set definition per se that we have for these terms. We can describe them, we can explain kind of what they look like, but there's not really a set definition that we can give without using the word itself. So the first term, the first undefined term, is what we call a point. And I'm pretty sure you're all familiar with a point, but it's basically just a dot. So you see a dot right here. This would be a point. Now, we can represent points with capital letters. Okay, so we can label it as we see here, capital A. So this is point A. Or we can use another letter. It could be point B or point C. We're going to label it something so that we can distinguish it between that point and, say, another point that we have. Okay, so a point is just a dot like that. A line is an infinite number of points. So we see here, this would be a line. Right here is a line. With a line, we need at least 2 points labeled, as we see here, point B and point C, to tell which direction it goes. Okay, if we just had 1 point, say we had point B, well, we could have a line going like this. We could have a line going like this. Okay, we don't know which direction it's going unless we have a second point, as we see here, point C. So a line needs 2 points to tell which direction it's going, and it's going to go infinitely in both directions. So to show that, we see these arrows here. That shows that the line goes infinitely in both directions. Okay, so we have a point, we have a line, and then we also have a plane. A plane is, think of like a sheet of paper. A sheet of paper would be an example of a plane. Or think of the surface of a wall, or the surface of the ceiling, or the surface of the floor. That would be an example of a plane. It's a flat surface, and by definition, or technically, it's going to be going infinitely in every direction. So it's kind of hard to visualize because all the planes that we see, such as the floor or the wall, come to an end. But in geometry, a plane goes infinitely in every direction, just like the line goes infinitely in every direction. Okay, in a plane, we're going to use a capital letter to represent a plane as well. So we see here we can label this as M. So we see an M here. We can call this plane M. And then going back to the line, I failed to tell you how to label this as well. A line we said needs 2 points, right? We have points B and point C here. So to show that the line goes through point B and C, we're going to use the letters B right here and C, write them right next to each other, and then it's a line, so we're going to draw a line symbol above it. And that's how we label those. So those are the 3 undefined terms. And then from there we get a few other terms from those 3. So if we see space is the next term. Space, by definition, is the set of all points. So notice for the definition of space, we're going to use one of the undefined terms, the point, to explain what space is. So space is the set of all points. Okay, collinear. If we look at each individual part of that word, means with. You think of like co-ed, means with boys and girls. It's like co-ed sports. You have guys and girls playing on the same team. The co means with. Linear, notice in the word linear you have the word line. So collinear literally means with the same line. So if we have points that are collinear, that means they're going to be on the same line. So we see here on the right we have 3 points, and these are all in the same line, so therefore they are collinear. Okay, the next term is coplanar. Once again, co means with. Planar, you see the word plane in there? So this word literally means with or in the same plane. So if we have coplanar points, that means those points will be on the same plane. So we see here an example. Okay, we have 4 points and they are on the same plane, so therefore they are coplanar. Okay, and the last term is intersection. And intersection, I think we're more familiar with this term. We think of an intersection when we think of driving. Okay, 2 roads form an intersection. And what intersection means is where 2 lines or 2 planes cross. So we see here these 2 lines are crossing right here at this pink dot that I've drawn in. So the intersection of the 2 lines would be this point right there. So those are the main terms to know, and make sure you have those down, because like I said, you will see these again throughout this chapter, but not only in this chapter, but also through the rest of this class.